buddies. It is the Bennington Show, another day in social distance radio. We are the only father-daughter radio show in the history of radio. I'm Gail Bennington.
I'm Ron Bennington, and I am socially distanced. Socially distanced today.
Yes, and also emotionally distanced and spiritually distanced.
I've always been that way. That's something I've always brought to the table. Every day is a new day. It's it's literally a crazy day. I can't talk to anybody without them saying, hey, how weird is this? But weird is the new normal. That's the beauty of it all.
Yeah, everything about this is weird, and I think that, like everyone, I keep going through waves of, like, a strange false confidence, like, hey, this is weird, but, we're figuring it out, we're making it happen, to, like, the next minute being like, what the fuck is this world? What have I brought my child into?
Yeah, you have to realize that both those things are absolutely true.
Yes.
A friend of mine wrote to me yesterday, that not only is it scary, but he feels sad about it all. And then I wrote back to him, yeah, but, in history, every great society that we love and we study had to overcome something really, really big. And this is ours. You know what I mean? So we have to find the positive in all this kind of stuff, when you start to see now how connected we are. You know what I mean? Like, literally, we understand just how connected that we are.
Yes. And, I'm trying to focus on the fact that, yes, I'm able to not only connect with friends and family, but, like, how cool is it that I'm here, socially distancing in Brooklyn, able to speak to you at your home in Manhattan. We've got Vito at the studios, and, and I love being able to still be able to talk to everybody.
Yeah. And people, everywhere around, 2 different countries, 844 Rock God, 844 Rock God. But overall, I'm going to tell you the truth. This whole self-quarantine thing, I'm a natural, literally a natural at it.
Yeah,
I self-quarantine.
Yeah, go
ahead.
I was going to say, I've noticed that there are some people who, like, this is their natural habitat. They would prefer to stay home and, like, cuddle up on the couch and watch a movie. But I have other friends who enjoy sports, outdoor activities, gym. They're not doing so well.
It's the time of the lazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is my people's time. I've always self-quarantined during people's weddings, dinner parties. I'm more likely to be self-quarantining somewhere and go, I don't really want to go today. Why don't you bring me back a plate? You know what I mean? Just load up a plate for me and bring me back. And a little piece of wedding cake if you can.
Yeah. It makes me think of, I had a great grandfather who would just always have to go feed the dogs at any time. How many meals do these dogs eat a day? I don't know. But I think he was always like, get me out of the social engagements.
I have to tell you this. You find out pretty quickly for the people that are coupled up, who's the annoying one and who's not the annoying one. And
Yes.
in my case, I'm very lucky. I have a very nice person to self-quarantine. From her point of view, though, it's got to be a pain in the ass. It's literally got to be the worst. And I really think if you have to pick which person to be the asshole. You know what I mean? When you got a sweetheart and an asshole, be the asshole. Now, I don't know what you do when you have 2 assholes. I don't know how that works out. I guess murder-suicide is all I can figure.
I'm thinking, like, how, like, there's positives, but then how many divorces will come of this, where they're going to be locked in houses together for weeks, and they're like, this isn't ever going to work out.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you something. Even if you get divorced or separated, you still have to live together. You know what I mean? You still have to stay there. You're quarantined. Now, do you ever do this? Do you look at people and try to decide which one of them you'd rather be quarantined with? Like I was thinking about Kelly Ripa and Ryan Seacrest, and I'm like, which one, if I had to be quarantined with, would? And I was literally fighting back and forth on it, because you got a feeling that
Yeah. Both of those are so rough to me. Both of the, and like for very different reasons.
Yeah, of course. Now Ryan seems like he's the nice one, but then he also probably gets pretty annoying, pretty needy.
Yeah.
Kelly is definitely the fun one, but she looks like she just has some dark moods too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you might have to say, honey, did you take your pills? You know what I mean? Maybe it would be better if you took your pills and had some wine and passed out.
I also imagine that she would be very controlling. You know what I mean? Like she would try to
Right.
micromanage our quarantine.
Like feeling like you weren't clean enough or you left
Yeah.
something behind somewhere. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a tough
my
one to
God.
pick.
I might have to go with Seacrest out.
I have a feeling that he would just talk about his weight a lot since he was a fat baby. You know what I mean? I mean, literally, fat babies are so much more annoying than fat adults because they have no acceptance.
People don't let that go either. You know what I mean?
No.
If they have any fatness in their past, they're like fat
Yeah.
forever. You're like fat in your heart.
And then they say it to you like you don't understand. When I was younger, I was fat. So what? Stop it.
Let it go. Frozen style.
I pick two for me to choose from, Gail.
Okay, so I'm going to call this your quarantine mate. Who
Yeah.
do you choose as your quarantine mate? Let's go Matt Damon or Ben Affleck.
I think this is a fairly easy one. I'm gonna have to go Matt Damon. Seems like he's a little easier to get along with. And now, and by the way, this is only if drinking or not drinking. Drinking, definitely. I'm gonna pick Ben, but not drinking, Matt.
I
What
think
about you on
Matt has a clearer head. I think he has a better choice. And for some reason, because maybe it's his work with conserving water, I just feel like he's already, he's going to have more global perspective on this thing, and he and
Yeah,
I
but I
can
get
have a conversation.
I get thirsty, Matt. You mind if I have a little drink of water? I'm not wasting it. I'm literally drinking. I'm supposed to
problem
drink
is-
8 glasses a day. I'm having 5.
The problem is he's going to be scolding you also every time you wash your hands.
Yeah, that's true.
And
That's
I'm
true.
doing so much hand washing.
All right, so you made that a little more annoying than I thought it was. Now I think I'm going with, hey, who gives a shit, Ben Affleck? You know what I mean?
I see, the reason I stick with Matt is like I feel like we are going to have to discuss like his failed marriage at length, and he just seems like he'll get into that stuff and he'll be hitting the sauce. It'll be rough, I think.
Look, I've been to meetings. I understand. They can be very, very entertaining. I'll be just like, hey, man, own it. It's you. It's you, Ben Affleck. Actually, I'm going to tell you the truth. If I had to pick between Ben Affleck and his wife, what was her name? Jennifer Garner?
Yes.
I pick Ben Affleck. I think that Jennifer Garner would be a real stick in the mud.
Yeah, I don't know why, but she has maintained that that reputation for a long time. Like people are like, there's no reason, but I just don't think I'd enjoy her company.
Yeah, I saw her doing a commercial and she annoyed me. And she wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just like, I don't know. I don't know. Now, here's the thing. If you want to play quarantine, you got to take sex off the table because that's cheating. You know what I mean? Because naturally, everybody would just pick somebody that they would want to have sex with. But that's not what we're talking about here.
That's not the point.
You know? Yeah, that's not the
point.
point at all. All right, you got another 2?
Yes, I do. And this again, well, I'll reiterate, take sex off the table. Who's your quarantine mate? Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera?
Oh, Jesus Christ. This is a nightmare.
It's really bad.
This is a nightmare. I think give me crazy Christy. Give me crazy Britney Spears.
Yeah. There's a lot of entertainment there, but I'm going to go Christina because I think Christina's more of the diva personality, but I'm afraid of how unhinged Britney is.
I kind of like Unhinged though. You know what I mean? And I don't want to use the term crazy pussy. This is a whole new time. Oh, speaking of which, though, one of the good things that's come out of this, I don't think we have to be as woke as we used to be.
Oh yeah, that's off the table.
I saw Chris Stefano talking about that. He said when comedy comes back and everybody starts going out again, no one is going to like woke people. We're going to know how bad life can get, so we need to be unwoke. I was just laughing, going, I don't know whether people are going to stop being sensitive. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just afraid that since it'll only embolden cancel culture, it won't even seem like a big deal. Like you cancel somebody because they said something inappropriate. They're like, who cares? The whole world was canceled last year.
Love It or Shove It also wrote to us that tweeted to us, I literally had to change nothing about my introverted life during this period of social distancing. Here's the funny thing. I saw somebody that had sent out a thing. I guess this is a meme going around, but could introverted people please check on their extroverted friends to see if they're okay? You know how like when you're kind of a shut-in, people always call you, how you doing, man? You seem to be,
Right.
seem to be staying out of things. That's always been a problem for you. You're not using again, are you?
Yeah, they're the people who can't handle this. I have friends who are like, I'm going crazy. I think like I might go for a run. It's just like, just stay in. Just relax.
Yeah.
Just put on a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the people who were addicted to their gym membership is now a negative thing after that being such a positive, like I'm addicted to getting up at 4 a.m. and doing squats and running around. Now people are like, stop.
Just stop.
I saw some kind of expensive mirror that you could be working out in the mirror while you see the guy running your virtual gym.
Oh, yeah. I remember the first time I saw that commercial, I thought that it was a parody. I thought, like, is this like an SNL parody commercial? But they're real, apparently. I mean, I think between that and Peloton, they've got to be doing pretty well. Like this week, people are actually considering buying those things.
Yeah, just to have something to do, That's the thing. Let's all right, by the way, speaking of woke or not, apparently the press is trying to find out which White House official is calling this the Kung flu. And I'm just finding this out now. I had never heard that term for this yet because Trump had been calling it the China flu or whatever. And now Kung flu comes up. So,
Not good.
I got to say, I'm not real sure if we're going to get less woke as this thing goes along.
Right. It's not really looking that way.
Give us another choice of Quaranteammates. Oh, I'm going to give one to you first, Gail. And you got to be totally honest about this. Vito or Chris Stanley?
Ooh, this is really tricky. Okay, so Vito, I think, probably has more trouble with the social distancing, more anxious because he, likes to be around his friends. Chris, it's his natural state, but Chris also feels like he got more anxious first. Oh my God. I think this is crazy, but I think I'm going to go Chris Stanley.
Really?
I think that Chris is going to hunker down more. Vito's at SiriusXM Studios right now like a nut.
Yeah, I know he is. I will say this, though. I would have 100% said Chris until I had a lovely trip to L.A. with Vito. And I saw just how supportive and there for you that he is. Also, the thing I love about him, he's willing to finish your food. And you know what I mean? I always like that in a friend. Like, I can't eat the rest of this. You want to eat it? Yes. And then it would be gone seconds later.
There's a real intimacy of that. Like a friend who will pick up, you're like, oh, you're not going to eat that? Let me grab it.
Love it. I love that. Vito.
Yes.
Who do you think would be easier, you or Chris?
I mean, I get Gail's point that Chris is like Mr. Social anxiety, wants to be by himself and not be bothered with anybody. But if you're looking for the long haul, I think I'm your ideal candidate because I do know when to just fucking chill out and not bother you, as you saw in LA, Ron. And I also will keep you active in some ways, like when you want somebody to talk to and pal around with, I'm there. Chris, you will never have that option. It will be 100% stay away from him the entire time.
By the way, do you see what a great job he does of making his point? He could win The Bachelor like that. You know what I mean?
Like,
and I don't know whether you know that's... Yeah, go ahead, Gail.
He just made me rethink my answer. And that, to me, that's interesting. Like, I had a gut reaction, and now I'm questioning myself.
I'm going to give you 2 reasons to vote for Vito right now. A, I'm in a book club with him, and we're having a ball with him. B, he and I got in a conversation about Elvis movies, and he went deep. Why? Because he and his mom would rent an Elvis movie every week and sit and laugh at how weird and bad it was and also enjoy it at the same time. You're like a friend that you go, oh, I didn't know you had that thing going on. But Chris, he'll have a thought and not even share it with you.
Yeah, that's true.
Vito,
the way he is with his drinking should have been an indicator. When he goes very inside and he's just like pondering life and he's not being social and fun. That's probably a good indicator how he'll be.
Also, I know this from travel. Sometimes he does that when he's not drinking. Thank you. Vito, do we got Chris on the line?
Yes, we do. Chris, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I'm right here. I've heard this entire conversation.
And you agree?
No, I don't agree. I do not agree. I'm a much better hunkered down. I'm a much better quaranteammate because A, I'm handy. B, you know that I'm not going to fucking break the quarantine. I am not going to fucking go out there and fucking infect anyone. All right? I'm
That's
the guy
true.
to beat.
But here's the thing. You are handy, Chris, but you're also handsy. And we've seen that.
Yep.
Time and time again.
That's only when I'm blacked out. And there's not enough alcohol to go around to black me out right now, Ron.
All right. Now, I'm gonna pitch one to you two that comes to us from Twitter for Quaranteamate, and this is from David Morris. So you guys ready for this? Because this is a hard one. Dennis Falcone or Jeffrey Gurian?
Oh my God.
This is the hardest one in history. First of all, can I just take Chris? Now that this is coming up, can I take both Chris and Vito?
Oh my God. This is so hard. Like, why would we have one this difficult?
They're both insane.
I'm going to start it off, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. I feel like just because I know that he has the medical background, I'm going to go Jeffrey, because I also don't think I can handle how off topic sometimes the comments and the factoids that you get from Dennis Falcone are. I don't think I could take that.
Here's the difficult thing here. Neither one of them listens. They only talk, but they do not listen even slightly. Believe me, I just had an interview where Jeffrey interviewed me. I don't think he listened to a single answer I had. The only time that he would come to life was when I would ask him a question. And then suddenly he was, ready to talk. I'm going to kill which either one of them is. I'm going to literally kill them, and probably within the first day. Before lunch, I would murder. It's so hard. This is going to be annoying, but I'm going to probably say Gurian because at least he has a past. You know what I mean? At least he's met people and done things and partied, and you know what I mean? Dennis has just made up lists of songs that he would play on the weekend or at weddings, and never good music.
Yeah, the issue is going to be how much can I listen to the Cabin Fever Reliever Weekend? I mean,
Right.
that's going to be the whole quarantine.
Oh my God. Here's the thing also about Dennis. Like if you pick a band, let's say the Allman Brothers, he knows who they are, but he only knows one song, Rambling Man, because that's the only one that was a fucking AM radio hit.
Right.
Who did you pick, Gail?
I picked Jeffrey Gurian as my quarantine mate.
If I want Jeffrey Gurian and Chris, I'd probably still picking Gurian.
I'm much more fun than Jeffrey Gurian. and I'm less annoying, I think. I'm pretty sure I'm less annoying.
You're angrier, though. Plus, here's the thing. We don't know how hard you hit, but we know that Gurian could never hurt us under any circumstances. like if I got even bored, I might even just go like this. Punch me in the face, Gurian. Go ahead.
He'd collapse if he threw a punch.
All right, Chris Stanley, let's see if you can give us one.
Okay, what about for your quarantine mate, Luke or Owen Wilson?
Ooh.
Wow. And sex is off the table?
Sex is off
the table.
No, you know what? I'm kind of interesting, and I'll say this. Sex is on the table, my friends.
Okay, great.
Sex is on the table for this one.
Then I know who I'm taking.
Really? Who are you taking, Chris?
Give me the stallion, Owen Wilson.
I'm going to disagree 100% right there.
Really?
I think Luke would be a more attentive lover. I think that that Owen would be the type to be like, am I doing this right?
Huh.
You know what I mean?
When we put sex back on the table, it changed my answer, and my answer is Luke Wilson for a couple reasons. But one, sex is on the table. Two, I also feel like he could be like my straight man. You know what I mean? Like I feel like Owen would be too funny. You know what I mean? Like he'd be like stealing all the jokes.
Yeah. And I'm always annoyed by a guy who's funny when they don't mean to be. You know what I mean? That gift. And Owen has that gift. He never says something witty. He says something so peculiar that you laugh.
Right.
All right. Sex off the table. I'm still taking Luke.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't even think it's close. I think Owen's going to be annoying as shit.
I feel like he's the writer of the two, and like he might be more thoughtful, and I kind of like that. He's more fun than Luke. At least it seems so.
I think you're wrong. I think Luke is a deep well. Okay.
Yeah. And this whole thing that Owen is a writer. Oh, really? How much did you write without Wes Anderson? You know what I mean? I think if anything, he tags. You know what I mean? But I don't think he could come up with a concept that makes the least amount of sense.
I agree with that.
I'm proud to sit here and fly the Luke Wilson flag. I wish, I should have been on this for years. All right, these are good. So far, Vito, Jeffrey Gurian, and Luke Wilson.
Yeah, you're coming
These
up
are
with a whole
upset
team.
specials. These are upset specials. Most people's entire bracket is destroyed right now.
Okay, I have another one for you guys.
Yeah.
Who do you choose as your quarantine mate? George or Kramer?
Oh, God, this is the hardest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
God, they're both so fucking annoying.
Yes. There's annoying. There's I don't trust either one of them in this circumstance.
I think I'm leaning towards one. I think Kramer would be the better quarantine mate because he's more resourceful than George. George, I think, has a tendency to just fall apart and freak out. And Kramer might just be a more useful person to have around.
Yeah, but
I mean,
he also seems like he would be just like on the edge. Like you couldn't contain him. You know what I mean? Like,
and also whatever he did for you was not going to be done right.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't trust him to do laundry. This is fucking terrible.
The issue is, does George obviously would be able to settle in and hunker down, but the complaining about every little thing, that's going to really get to me.
Yeah, I couldn't take that either. All right, just for that reason, I'm taking fucking Kramer.
Nice.
Yeah, Kramer.
Not for what you say. Not for what you say, because he's going to probably be a little more fun when you're silly. And, yeah, that shit that George does, it's just too much. Neither one of them worked again after Seinfeld. No one could put up with those two.
No. I mean, my choice is Kramer, but it's really just an anti-George pick.
Yeah, sure. I get that.
Yeah.
All right, you guys know that video that I put up and was dancing around to?
Yes.
Now, this surprises me. A lot of people are asking me what that song, but some people are even asking me what group. Now, that was shocking to me, except for when I went in to look on this. This did not even make the... it's obviously it's a Jay Giles band, but So Sharp did not make the Essentials, the Next Steps, or even Deep Cuts. I had to go all the way to YouTube to pick up this song.
When I heard it, I figured out who was singing it, but it's definitely not a song. I don't think it's a song I had heard before. And by the way, if you want to check it out, it is on our stories, and that's at Bennington SXM on Instagram.
Everybody all around the country, whether you're from a small town or a big city, we're all kind of dealing with this thing. And I guess the hope is that if we kind of come together, have this one plan, this will be shorter rather than longer. But it looks like it's going to be difficult no matter what it is. But it also seems like the only way out is through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bitching about it doesn't really help much at all.
The thing that's interesting about this, of everybody coming together, is this is your chance to be a hero by staying home. You know, this isn't like, at that time, all the young men signed up for war. Like, you don't have to do that. You don't even have to volunteer. You just have to stay home. And that's like the funniest thing.
I've signed up to rest. If the way I feel about this, I've been living like a hero since I was a kid. I literally, when I was a kid, my parents would go, why don't you go out? I'm like, what? The only thing that really got me out and doing stuff is when, I was like 13 and I started drinking. I'm like, you know what? This is really better than being home.
Yeah, this is definitely better. Honestly, that and just being able to, connect with people, laugh with people, read people's funny takes, I feel has been kind of uplifting through this. But can I just tell you, honestly, the hardest I laughed this morning, honestly, was I was on a call with Chris and Vito, and we were going over, just over today. We were like, okay, is there any technical stuff? Do we need to get anything fixed? And I was like, yeah, and, we'll go over some stuff. And then Chris says, yeah, I have something I think could be good. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure. What is it? And he goes like this: which animal is the most trustworthy? And then me and Vito, most trustworthy. And then me and Vito at the same time, it's just kind of a pause, and we're like, dog. It's going to be dog. And then there's just a long silence, and Chris goes, yeah, it's probably dog. It was so great.
I mean, he didn't even try to make the case for Bunny, because, Bunny's never really backstabbed anybody.
He's just like, yeah, it's probably dog.
Here's the thing. How are you even trustworthy if you don't understand the concept of trust?
And then he immediately pivots to, okay, fine, what animal's the least trustworthy? And that had me dying.
Shark. I don't trust the shark at all. They can act like they're your friends, but they'll still bite you.
Do we still have Chris with us? Is he always with us?
Yeah, he's always on hold. Chris, can you hear us?
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it,
can hear
Chris.
you, yes.
This is how you're spending 21 hours a day. This is your this is your creative thought.
This is the funniest.
All right,
shit.
so I don't trust fish. Like I said to Gail, I don't trust fish at all. They are every fish is much less trustworthy than anything on land.
Okay.
Well, I'll
here's the
say
thing.
to like I have said to a fish, make sure you don't eat my worms, and then those motherfuckers every single time.
But here's the thing, Chris. How could you sit here and go, oh, I trust a fish less than I trust an alligator? That doesn't make sense.
A fish doesn't breathe air, and I'm gonna fucking put that.
Yes, they do. That's what their
mammals
gills are
fucking
for.
breathe air.
Yeah, but
No,
the reason they have that is because they break down the oxygen that's in the water. They
Right, so
can't
what I
live
mean-
without air.
So what I mean is they can't like be topside on planet Earth. Like they can't
Topside. All right. Dude, you're not becoming less dumber as you explain this. And first of all, none of this has to do with trust. There is no trust that you're talking about.
All right, as Vito and Gail pointed out to me, I think we can trust dogs, and they are probably the most trustworthy of animals, since they,
But only, can I say this? Just your dog. No one else's should you trust.
I'm just saying dogs in general are probably had the most FaceTime with humans at home. So in that sense, you can't trust the dog. And I'm going to cede the point that yes, dogs are the most trustworthy of animals on the planet.
Chris, could you see this point? This entire concept is stupid. And I don't know how your woman stays with you. I don't know how she just doesn't say, get out.
She's a saint.
Take this anymore. She is a saint.
We're self-quarantining here, Ron. We're stuck together.
Maybe we should just have her. You know what I mean? Like, we should let you, I don't know what you would do the wash or whatever, and we could have her come up with some ideas for the show. Because you're not trustworthy when it comes to this.
Well, all right. So maybe the trustworthiness of animals wasn't a good idea. I can admit that. Maybe this judge chalked this up to, it wasn't a good one.
Now, here's what I consider actual meanness, right? So, I mean, Chris had this fuck up, but then Gail brings it up on the show. Like, Gail and Vito tell him this is not good enough for the show, and then they bring it up.
Fucked up.
Yeah. There's a cruelty to that.
I feel like
how... But Chris, this is how I do friendship. Just like Ron laughing at Rich and Bobby.
Gail and Vito are as trustworthy as a fish to me right
now. They're your fish friends. Yeah. You take all your friends and you put them into the different animal things.
By the way, don't forget that just because we're in quarantine now and the world is totally different, I don't forget that your nickname is Fish now.
Oh, that's weird. By the way, I don't remember how Chris's nickname became Fish, because only Hoagie Guy still calls him that.
I honestly think it might have been he mispronounced his own name. I think he called himself Fish Stanley.
That sounds about right. It sounds like something I would say. I'll be honest.
And me, I'm the untrustworthy Fish Stanley. How about... You've had a lot of nicknames. You mind if we just start and call you Fish Moody and then just move on from there?
I like Fish Booty. That's pretty cool.
I can't tell you. This is very weird because, before all this quarantine stuff happened, I was away from you guys for 2 weeks. I was on the ship and then I was out in LA, but I didn't really miss everybody because I knew I was coming back. But with this open-ended thing, I'm like, I really miss all the guys,
I know. It's also the open-ended thing. Like initially could be 2 weeks, then they were like, okay, mid-April. And then every day it gets farther and farther back. I think it's just like if you gave me any date, even if it was a year from now, I could focus on it.
But, it's so weird because, like, when you do go into AA, everybody tells you to, like, you count days in the past, but you can't count them in the future. You can only do this one day at a time.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like this whole thing is the best for people who are addicts because they get it. They understand it. You know what I mean? Like, I can only focus on what I can focus on. Here's a weird thing. I brought up Hoagie Dom. As long as I can see pictures of hoagies, I'm okay. I don't even need to eat them.
You know what I found is similar for me? I can, like, watching Great British Bake Off kind of scratches the itch. Like, I don't have to sit there and eat cookies while I watch it. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. And yet you do. That's the interesting thing. You still do. I honestly, I feel like I wish I followed more apps or people online. That's maybe something we could do. Like we were talking about the fact that it's so much fun to watch Kashmir just talking poop. I mean, literally talking poop online. And he's really funny at it. And then a lot of people, if I have to see one more stand-up do act like they're doing their act for their dog, I'm going to hang myself.
Yeah, there are people I feel like on social media that if you follow them, it's like a good distraction through this time.
Yeah.
Like not just people who are only doing stuff related to the quarantine, but I just feel like in general, there's places I go as sanctuaries.
Right. I mean, like, that's why I did the dancing thing, because I was just like, I love this fucking song. Let's face it, I not only sing, I dance as good as I want to. And we got to do this a little bit. You know what I mean? We got to remember to keep that kind of scene going, even if it's just for us. Do you really need to go to a club to fucking kick at the jams, motherfucker? No. Do it.
Yeah, just experience it. Don't dream it, be it.
Oh, I love that saying. Can I steal that?
Yes. Well, I stole it from Rocky Horror. You can steal it from me.
There was a guy years ago doing morning radio, and he used to say, if you're stealing from me, you're stealing it twice. And I'm like, that's nothing to brag about. You know what I mean?
God.
Well, Fish Moody gave us all something to think about, and that's animals that we trust and animals that we don't trust. Boy, your phone is terrible right now, Chris. You were doing great all day. Well, it's not so much as the phone, but like ambient noise gets picked up. That's the last problem that we have. We don't have the echo stuff, but we have the and weirdly, out of all the mics, I think Vito is the worst. He literally turns his mic off when he's not on the air because you could hear everything going on in that room except for his voice.
I know.
But much better today, right, Vito?
Yeah, today's going really well. I'm really happy and proud of everybody.
Oh, that's nice. That's all I wanted to proud. Yeah.
I guess my only note is when Chris just rubbed the mic on his beard. That's what it sounded like.
There's been an Instagram account I've been looking at called Breadface Blog, and it's an Asian lady who has like a pastry or a piece of bread, and then she just shoves her face in the bread, and it's very.
We're not asking for weird kinks.
Yeah, I don't.
You fucking fetish.
Porn. Yeah. By the way, I'm on Breadface Blog, of course, right now.
How is it?
Yeah, it's very
You
bizarre.
loving it?
She's just okay right now. It looks like where's the square donut from? Donut plant.
Yeah.
It looks like she's got a donut, and then first she starts to spank it like it's a naughty donut, and now she's just mashing her face into it as hard as she can. It's bizarre.
Dude, I just started to look this up. Do you know how many bread face things that there are? Bread face girls. I mean, apparently this is the thing.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So which one is yours, Chris?
Bread Face Blog.
Yeah, this is a fucking kink site.
Yeah, I'm watching one now where she's taken, you know those king cakes. I feel like they're like they have them in Lent and stuff. They're like purple.
They're New
yellow.
Orleans cakes. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's now mashing her face into one of those, a very large king cake. Yeah, this is creepy, Chris. This is very weird.
She must be in Louisiana because I'm looking at her doing beignets.
She's great, right?
Yeah, it's submissive shit, though. That's all it is. Like, you're a bad girl. You stick your face in the bread until you learn to listen to daddy.
You know, I haven't been on here long, but she's focusing a lot on sweetbreads. I'd like to see some savory in here. You know?
Hey, let's not rush it, Gail. You know what I mean? That's going to come along. We got plenty of time for rye, pumpernickel.
I mean, cinnamon roll? Yeah. I mean, I've seen nothing but sweetbreads.
Oh, wait, I'm just watching her now shoving her face into a giant pretzel.
See, man, this is really enjoyable.
No, it isn't enjoyable because you can see how submissive she is. She's like milfy and, beat down by life. I think you're a bad person, Chris, for even bringing this up. But I am thankful that you did. Yeah. I think she's being made to do all of this. I don't even think this is her idea.
Yeah. I think Oprah's behind this.
All right. This one is her. It looks like she's tied, wearing a little teddy, mask over her face, and almost nipples out. So, again, this is just a submissive blog.
Yeah, we didn't say what porn are you into these days.
And by the way, just the thing for this is they're real. She didn't write this. Somebody's doing this to her.
Regardless, it's great content.
Dude, here's one. She's got an unbelievable bubble butt going too. And the guys are just writing fucking stuff to her. Like, can you put your ass in some bread?
What about bread in some ass?
And here she is with her hands over her pussies. Oh my God, Chris.
This is disgusting. What? But, however, I did just see her mash her face into a butternut squash Danish that looked incredible. Like, where did she get this? She should definitely, at whatever bakery she went to.
I wish Hoagie Don would start putting his face in the hoagie.
He doesn't show his face.
His mouth. He just puts his mouth in the hoagies. And he loves those creamy nubs. I actually do look at his stuff like it's porn. It's crazy. All right. Vito has David in Georgia, and he wants to talk about the traffic.
David from Georgia just dropped.
Oh, okay. So he said that the traffic on I-95 is way backed up from everyone leaving Florida.
Oh, really? Well, people want to get out. Why? Because maybe they want to get out just so everyone to get away from the people who don't care.
Yeah, I guess a lot of them are just finding out about this too. I mean, it's not like a lot of college kids follow the news, you know?
Sure.
And that's why they don't vote. By the way, this whole thing has been bad news for the Bernie bros because, he's behind and he can't campaign. Mm-hmm. Any campaigning looks crazy right now.
You can't really do that. And I think just kind of at this point, Yes, universal health care, certainly looking very sweet right now in this moment. But at the same time, with this, with how far behind he is, I feel like time to call it quits. Make sure you don't get coronavirus. Stay home.
Yeah, I do worry about him too. I'll tell you somebody that weirdly, because I haven't seen him in a long time, but I've been weirdly worried about Regis. I just want Regis to be okay. Yeah.
Because you know what? He's older, but he loves to socialize too.
And yet, we haven't seen him in a couple years, really. And this always bothers me. He was the one guy that was Trump's best friend. And I've never once seen him at the White House or Mar-a-Lago. And he was going down to Mar-a-Lago in like 91. You know what I mean? Like he was always buddies with Trump.
He seems like he probably has a very exclusive dinner parties or something. That's my guess.
I hope so. I hope he's okay. Well, you know, I wanted to, maybe we can do this in the future. I just don't want it to be all porn stuff. All right, Vito, why don't you grab some phones for us?
Whitey from Saratoga wanted to talk about something Gail brought up before.
Go ahead, Whitey.
Oh, yeah, Gail was mentioning she wanted to ride this out on a lake in upstate New York. And up here, being close to like Lake George and Saratoga Lake, we're noticing a lot of people from Jersey and from the city coming up here to ride things out.
What are they doing, renting cabins?
Well, a lot of them already have summer houses, like on the lake. There's definitely not as many people renting things out. You know, like during track season, sure, there's a ton of home rentals up here, like for the horse racing. But right now, just all the people with summer houses are coming up here.
It makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If I had a summer house, that would definitely be where I headed once I heard that we were all going to have to hunker down.
But it's kind of freaking us out here locally because, you know, it's like the city is, you know, the hotbed for this stuff, you know, and all those people are coming up here, bringing that up here, you know, does have some of us worried.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure if the city is the hotbed for it. I think just more people getting tested because there's nothing that makes me believe. I mean, it's been found in all 50 states. It's just you know, I mean, for all I know, I have it. I've been traveling a lot. I feel great, but it doesn't mean anything until you're tested to find out. And even then, if you get tested, what does that even mean? They don't give you any medicine. It's just like, okay, when you're really sick, let us know if you're sick enough that you can come to our hospital boat.
God, that hospital boat does not look like, that looks like the worst place.
It looks like McHale's Navy at best. I mean, that looks like that thing, they just took it out of mothballs after 50, 60 years. It's weird. If you're ever in Philadelphia, look over and that naval yard is there, right? And there's just all these World War II ships, but they've been sitting there since my entire life. You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, I was like, wow, look at those ships. They've never moved. You know what I mean? In all these years, they just don't know how to dismantle them and get rid of them. They should have driven them off. Yeah.
It's like the same as just having like a bunch of shit in your garage. They're just like, oh, we
exactly
don't know what to do with this.
It's Navy shit left over from World War II. Some of that stuff they just sunk off the coast and made like reefs out of it. You know, they make natural reefs. But I guess once you brought it in and then you didn't take it back out again for a couple of years, it would probably be so expensive to get that son of a bitch moving that they just leave it in the Delaware River, just sitting there. What else has been going on with you, Gail?
Honestly, I think it has just been just figuring out how to, me and my husband both working from home and then having a toddler here. It's just, it's pretty wild. Like across the board, I know everybody is struggling, but talking to people with kids, it is pretty wild.
Yeah, my life is so great. I don't have to any of those concerns. You know what I mean? It's really about movies, walking around naked if I want to. You know what I mean? This is a staycation of all time.
Yeah, the thing that I think is weird is that I'm like, I still feel like really like, why do I still feel so bogged down with housework? Like, I'm here. So shouldn't this be like easier to clean? But it's because we don't leave the space.
Right.
Like, we're using everything all the time in here.
And a child is like having a small hurricane. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't end. Vito, how's your mom doing with the with staying home?
She still has to work some of these days because her office is still open, but like she's doing pretty good. She won something at Bed Bath & Beyond the other day, so that was like a nice highlight of the week for her.
What did she win?
She won a steamer, like one of those clothes steamers.
Oh, yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, so she went to Bed Bath & Beyond to get paper towels, and then she told me she just really started buddying up with one of the reps there, and they convinced her to enter a contest, and then she got called that she won this clothes steamer. So, like, she's handling everything pretty well.
Oh, look, for me, my dry cleaning bill has fallen to zero. It's just fucking fantastic. I'm saving so much money on coffee and dry cleaning and cabs. Hey, did you guys see... Go ahead, Gail.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know how yesterday I was saying, I'm still getting dressed as though I'm going to work, but like this is more like second tier, third tier shirts, like shit I wouldn't wear to work. Today I'm literally wearing a tie-dye sweatsuit. Like
pictures, please.
Tie-dye sweatsuit. Like I look like a hype beast right now.
Yeah. Now they're saying that's the worst thing that you could do is like not dress up. Like people from home think that you should dress for work and then just, they're giving that advice. I'm fucking loving this. I'm loving not getting up and getting dressed to go somewhere. I think it's fantastic. And I feel exactly the same. I'm one of those people, I could easily live in a nudist colony and be fine with it. Now, have you guys seen the picture of Naked Cowboy? Even though there's not a lot of people in Times Square, Naked Cowboy is out. I don't know how many years that Naked Cowboy's been there, 25, 30 years, something crazy like that. And I've seen tourists be so excited to run over and give him money to take a picture because they've seen this guy in movies. You know what I mean? He's not the most attractive guy in the world. He almost shouldn't be wearing that. But, he has the face mask on as a little joke. And this is like, the fact that he's wearing more cloth on his face than over his cock and balls it suddenly became interesting to me after all these years. I'm getting it.
The thing about him is like, that there aren't many people that are out in Times Square. So now it's just, now he's really starting to look nuts. Like he's just like, this is what I do every day. I got to come out here. And it's like, no one needs you to do this because he's not making the tips he normally makes.
Yeah, my sister just wrote to me. I never saw you dance like that. I'm like, I'll tell you who has, Valerie Joe, who wrote in because she remembers, she's from my old neighborhood. And she remembers that we never had a party without Jay Giles playing. And that's up on our Instagram. Send us stuff too. Let's all just try to keep each other entertained as much as we can, because we got to make the best out of this. There's no other way. And this is honestly the best part of my day. I have this little worried how I'm going to be reacting on Saturday and Sunday. Maybe just, talking into my phone like an idiot.
Yeah, I think go ahead, sit in front of the mic, just do 3 hours. Why not?
I'll just call Vito up, ask him to hook all you guys up by phone, do a conference call.
Sure.
Vito's been a real hero through this whole thing, hasn't he?
He really, really has. And, honestly, I can't believe that not only is he in there right now, but it's like he's doing phones, he's running the board, he's keeping it all together.
I'm telling you, I got to know this in Hollywood. This kid was made for Hollywood. Yeah. And of course, Chris Stanley's doing a bang-up job. And Earl Douglas has been shooting this thing. I'm not kidding you. he's got a book in this deal because he's going out and shooting New York City at night in black and white. We've never seen the city this quiet. I mean, if you wanted to do this as a movie, it would have cost you millions and millions of dollars to get Grand Central Station empty at 10 o'clock at night, Union Square empty. I saw a thing too, a Bobby Kelly leaving the Village. I don't know, it must have been 9, 10 o'clock at night. And he goes, this might be 4 o'clock in the morning. And you're seeing McDougal with nobody on it. And this is the, kind of party street in New York. If I'm running from one club to the other, I'm always going crazy. Like, what the fuck? I just got a thing from the Stand too. They're putting together some kind of account for all the restaurant workers there, because those guys aren't really covered and stuff like that. I heard Bobby and Rich talking about the fact that they're 1099 people. They can't even go for unemployment. There's a lot of stress out there right now.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a situation. I feel like if you're in a position where you can work from home, you're in a position where you are paid salary or given some sort of paid leave during this time, whatever your circumstance, you might want to think about donating to one of those groups to, think about what you would have paid in tips to servers, let's say, on any given week. If you just took that same money that you would pay and pass it on, it could make a difference.
I've always loved the service people my whole life, and especially since being in the club business, that they're the funnest, sweetest people. I know some people complain about service, but these are people that are trying to make sure people have a night out. And we got to think about some of those, because it's a very big part of our country. You know what I mean? It's a very, very big part of our country. And, I'm certainly hoping that the government pulls together and just does the best job they can do to get us out of this thing as easy and as simply as we can. And obviously, these times are going to end. You know what I mean? You got to focus on that as well. This doesn't go on forever. It's a finite amount of time. If you look at the world and all the bad things that could happen, they end. You know what I mean? If you look at, we had that terrible war with Vietnam. It seemed like the worst thing in the world. People vacation there now. And it's beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, the people are like, the beaches of Vietnam are the best fucking beaches in the world, Yeah. And, at one time that was just filled with like mortar shells and shit. So things do end. Focus on that. Know that. And, carry yourself the best you can during these times. I'm not saying it's not going to get worse before it gets better, but better is on the table. It really is. Gratitude. You got to find a place for gratitude. And think about animals, the most trustworthy, the least trustworthy, Chris has turned me on. I don't trust anything that lives underwater now. What the fuck are they doing down there? Why aren't they topside, as Chris has pointed out?
I don't know. And that's why we should all look at fucking a fish or even a turtle side-eyed.
I'm going to just ask this out of nowhere, Chris. Have you ever come up with a topic that any of us have thought, wow, that's fascinating?
I'm going to guess, going over the last 13 years, the answer is no. I mean, I've brought up a lot of silly shit. I don't know if it's fascinating. I know once I brought up, hey, what do you guys think would happen if everyone's semen turned black overnight? Like, semen was no longer white, but it was actually a black inkish color. What would happen to the world?
We all know race code, and I'm not comfortable with it. I know we have a lot bigger things to worry about. I get it, Tommy Johnigan. I know, but I still think Chris Stanley's avert racism needs to be fought every single part of the way.
By the way, I really prefer girl code to race code. That's just me.
Oh, girl code. I wish we could bring it back. We need it now more than ever. What's up with guys gaslighting us? What is the latest thing? Oh, it's this song "Gaslighter" by the Dixie Chicks, right? And people are now like writing like, "Hey, I know exactly what they mean." I'm like, who doesn't understand gaslighting? Anyone who has ever dated a guy understands that it's hard for us to say we break up with you, so we slowly get annoying until we're impossible to live with, and then you leave us. Like, I'm going to bet without even asking, Chris, have you ever voluntarily left a relationship?
Thinking that's a big no, Ron. I usually am just so bad that I'm kicked to the curb.
And actually, I remember his ex-girlfriend, one of the things she said was she felt he was gaslighting her all the time.
Of course.
It was rough, man.
For her.
Yeah, for her. But it was you to think of how many annoying things you could do. Vito wants us to go back to the phones. What do you got, Vito?
Dominic from Minnesota had a question for you, Ron.
Okay, sure.
Hey, Ronnie. Hey, Gail.
Hey.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, Ron? I just wanted to get your thoughts about. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and it's hard to find a meeting around here that there's actual people going to, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people are doing it online, and a lot of people are doing it like FaceTiming and stuff like that. It's just something that has to happen for a little while because, you know, if you think about it, meetings, church services, community stuff that we crave as human beings is all off the table for us right now. So if you get out there online and asking around, because these things run a lot anyway, you probably just weren't aware of it. But you know what? We'll do some research into that and look it up. But I think that's the best thing to do right now. And you got to understand that, you know, a lot of these things take place in the basement of churches, and the churches are shutting down. Java Girl, my little coffee shop, some guys came by and said, could we do some, you know, private things here, you know, just, and keep it small, keep it under 10 people. You know, because a lot of meetings, people will break off and go, we want to just be with the serious people, or we want to be just with the young people. All that stuff, you know, can work. But she can't even do that, technically, you know. So check online, and we'll make sure that we find out if there's like some kind of 800 thing. But I appreciate that question, Dominic.
Okay, thanks, Ron. Take care.
All right. You can always write to me anytime you want as well, or as they say, slide into the DMs, Gail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what
got to
the kids
slide
say.
into the DM. All right, we got to wrap this one up today. It is so funny to me how fast the shows go now.
Yeah, why does it go so fast? I feel like we just sat down.
Yeah. I think just because, like a meeting, you need this connection, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I love being able to do the show and being connected to people who have listened for so many years. I certainly appreciate it. I'm very, very grateful to be able to do this. And I honestly don't know how Jim McClure had the foresight to put this together well before emergency time. Yeah.